Hi guys, I'm Samantha. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you my spring 2018 haul. Now, I don't tend to buy books. I don't make a lot of money. I have a joint account with my mom and my grandmother on our e-readers, so I tend to just buy books there, and I try to get them super cheap with really good deals. But I had a problem this past season. Let's get into this. The first three books I'm going to haul I actually have already read, and you can find my thoughts in my June wrap-up coming soon. So the first is Undead Girl Gang by Lily Anderson. This is about a girl named Mila whose best friend has died. And two other girls from like the mean girl clique at her school have also died, and people are labeling it a suicide, and she doesn't think it was. So, being the witch that she is, she brings them back from the dead. The next book is Were Girl by C.D. Bell. I'd never heard of this. I was in my local bookstore and saw it and thought it was right up my alley. It is about a girl that gets bitten by a werewolf and starts to change into one, and then she has to discover the mysteries about her town, which is surviving because they were victims of corporate pollution. So she has to figure out what's going on with all of that. The next is Neverworld Wake by Marisha Pessl. I loved this book. If you want to see my full thoughts, I did a full review. I'll put it in the card thingies and in the description down below if you want to see that. This book is about a girl named Beatrice who, her last year of high school, her boyfriend died, and 1 year later she is going back to hang out with some of her old friends from high school. They get into a car accident and end up in the Neverworld Wake. And from there, they have to figure out what happened to her boyfriend to figure out how to get out. The next 5 books I actually picked up at the school that I teach at. The library was getting rid of some books, and these were ones that sounded interesting to me. I don't know precisely what they're about. I haven't got around to reading them yet. The next is The Head of the Saint by Socorro Accioli. I know I'm not saying that right. This book follows Samuel, a 14-year-old homeless boy in Brazil. He currently lives in the hollowed out head of Saint Anthony. Now, Samuel is interesting in that he can also hear the thoughts and prayers of the people in the village, and he starts answering them. Sounds interesting. The next is Americanized, A Rebel Without a Green Card by Sarah Sadie. Now, this is a memoir, and it sounded really interesting to me, especially with all of the immigration issues that are happening in the United States right now. This is about a girl who finds out that she is actually an illegal alien living here with her parents. The next book is Shadow Call by Adrian Strickland and Michael Miller. This is kind of like a space fantasy, it sounds like to me. Basically, there's a girl who is the youngest captain of a ship ever, and she ends up harboring the prince, who is in exile, I guess, and then she ends up leading a rebellion. That's all I know about it. It sounds really interesting. It might be a sequel, though. I'll have to find out. It sounds like a standalone, but who knows. If it's a sequel, I'll definitely have to read the first one first. The next is Words on Bathroom Walls by Julia Walton. This follows a boy named Adam who is schizophrenic, and he enters a drug trial to try to see if he can stop the voices and hallucinations from happening in his head. It's been compared to The Perks of Being a Wallflower, which I loved. The last book I got from my school library is When They Fade by Jane Roberts. I think that's how you say her name, but again, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. This is about a girl named Tatum who has been keeping the secret that her best friend Claudette is having an affair with a married teacher. When her classmates find out, they ostracize her and start bullying her. One night she's driving, and in her car appears the ghost of a girl named Molly who was killed in the 1970s tragically. She's stuck somewhere between here and the afterlife, and she gives Tatum a very dire warning that someone is going to try to kill her. Tatum and Molly find out that they have to help each other in order to move on. The last 5 books in my spring 2018 haul were just books that I picked up because I heard about them or thought they were interesting, or I saw them when I was standing at my bookstore. Again, I don't make it out to my bookstore very often, but when I'm there, I just eat all the books. The first is the very popular The Darkest Minds by Alexander Bracken, which is being made into a movie. It's not why I picked it up. I didn't know at the time that it was being made into a movie, but I think it's kind of serendipitous that I picked it up and then found out. In case you don't know, this book is actually part of a trilogy with like a 4th quartet anthology that goes with it. This one follows a girl named Ruby who on her 10th birthday wakes up with special powers. She is sent to a rehabilitation camp run by the government, and that's all I really know about this book. It sounds really interesting and I can't wait to get to it. The next is Chimera by C.D. Bell. This is the sequel to Weregirl. I read Weregirl in a day, so I picked this up because I knew it was there. In this one, the main character, Nessa, who is also the main character in Weregirl, comes home from a run to find out that her mother is being taken into custody by the FBI. The next is The Fandom by Anna Day. This follows a girl named Violet at Comic-Con. She is in love with a book. She cosplays as the characters, and then her and a few others get sucked into the book, and she ends up being one of the characters that dies. So she has to try to figure out how to survive the book. The next is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. This is also a very popular book. I bought it because one of my colleagues at school got Legendary on pre-order and was so stoked when it showed up at her house. I figured if she liked that book that much, I would have to get the first one. If you don't know, Caraval follows sisters Scarlett and Tella. Scarlett has always wanted to go to the festival, Caraval, but she thinks her hopes are dashed because her father has arranged a marriage for her. But with the help of her sister and a mysterious sailor, they end up going to Caraval. Once there, Tella is kidnapped by the mysterious owner of Caraval Legend because this year's Caraval festivities revolve around finding Tella. Whoever finds her first wins. I can see why people like it. The synopsis just sounds really interesting. The last is Circe by Madeline Miller. Madeline Miller. Either way, one of them is probably right. Anyway, this book is the origin story of Circe from the Odyssey. Now, I picked this up for one, the cover is just gorgeous. But because every year I teach the Odyssey to my grade 9 students, and Circe is always a character they ask more questions about, and I can never answer them. Now, this is obviously not canon. This is not written by Homer. Not that they were written by Homer. Homer was an oral storyteller. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, I think this is very interesting because Circe is a minor side character that does cause Odysseus some trouble. She also comes across as a villain, but as we know, all villains are the hero of their own story. So I would love to find out what happens more to Circe from her perspective. That was my haul from spring 2018. I don't know if I will have one for summer, fall, or winter, because like I said, I don't make it to the bookstore very often, but I enjoyed doing this haul for you. I hope to get to some of these books soon, so maybe you'll see some in some wrap-ups. Thanks for watching. Bye!